Hey guys, what's going on? This is Coach D coming at you for another Ask Coach D session. And you guys know that we show up every Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, where you can bring any questions that you have and we talk about a topic as well, right? So today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about, how to keep people from stealing your joy, whether it be in life, whether it be in business. And we're going to talk about that, what it really means and how you can avoid that, how you can combat that, right? So first off, if it's your first time tuning in, definitely if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, hit that subscribe button, right? Show me some love. If you're watching on Facebook, that's what's up. Go ahead and throw me up some hearts, all right? And put down in the comments, let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm tuning in from the Carolinas myself, all right? So let's go ahead and jump into this, all right? As we're talking about how do you keep people from stealing your joy, let's talk about what it means first. Have you ever had a situation where, let's say you have a job, right? Let's say you work on your job and you're relatively happy, right? That's cool. You don't have to hate your job. You're relatively happy. But then, you have some of those days where maybe there's a coworker or maybe a manager. They just kind of try and get under your skin, right? You ever had a job like, I know I've had jobs like that where it just seems like the manager or the boss or whatever, they always had to nitpick on something, right? You could be having a good day. You know what I mean? You having maybe it's payday, you feeling good, right? And it just seems like, sometimes there could be somebody in the vicinity that maybe they got a burr up their butt or whatever, right? A burr in their saddle, and they want to make everyone else's life miserable. Seems like they just want to nitpick at you, right? Have you ever been in that situation? Put down in the comments and let me know, because this is why I wanted to bring this up. I was talking to a colleague, right? I was talking to a colleague recently, and they were frustrated. They were saying, hey man, I sometimes I really don't like people. And I was like, well, what do you mean? Sometimes you don't really like people. I said, what do you mean? And they were telling me about a situation where on their job, their manager was really just kind of getting under their skin. Okay. And I said, well, what do you mean? Like, what is the manager doing? Well, this is that particular situation, and I'll explain it, right? It was a situation where they're used to working in a particular area in that particular company, right? You got sections, like, oh, you might be over in section B, right? Then everything's good, right? But then that manager wants to come and disrupt things, like, oh, well, I need you to go over here and work in this other section, right? And there could be other people that the manager could have put over there or whatever, or chosen. But y'all know y'all don't have bosses like this or managers like this. We're like, well, if you don't do this, then I'm going to cut your hours, or I'm going to send you home early, right? You don't have those type of managers like that. They kind of like try and, like push their weight around, if you will, right? Now, what can happen is, you could be in a relatively good mood, but that can really kind of like change your whole day, right? Change your whole outlook, really put you in a sad mood or a frustrated mood, right? Like you was in a joyous mood, but now somebody trying to steal your joy. Well, I'm going to tell you guys how I've been able to, kind of get around that, how I've been able to push through that, because I've been in that situation myself, when I used to, especially when I used to have jobs, but it still happens now. Even if you don't got a job, that still happens with somebody trying to steal your joy. Somebody don't want you to be great that day. Sometimes Facebook trying to steal our joy. They don't be wanting us to be great, right? What's going on, hey Dan? What's going on, bro? I'm going to tell you about a situation of mine that happened. Right. I was working at the time. This was, I don't know how many years ago this was, but I was working at AutoZone. Okay. I had recently moved from Durham, North Carolina, and I moved to Raleigh, North Carolina. Right. And I was in the automotive field. And when I moved from Durham to Raleigh, I didn't have, even though I was doing mobile auto repair, I didn't have any customers in Raleigh. Right. I didn't really know Raleigh like that, but I decided to move there. Right. So I didn't have any customers. Excuse me. So meaning I had to start my business over pretty much. You know what I mean? I had to go get some more customers. So that meant that I had to find a job. You know what I'm saying? I need to find a job to support myself, right? So I was looking at jobs and everything, applying. I had my good stuff. You know how you put your good stuff on to go for the interviews, right? Girl, at the time I had some braids. You know how you put them braids in your hair. You know what I mean? Had my braids and everything. You know what I'm saying? Wear my female suit and everything, right? Because I need to get a job, right? So I went and I finally got hired on at AutoZone, right? And I'm like, cool, because it's in my field. At the time it was in my field, automotive, right? I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm working there, right? And everything's good. You know what I mean? It is what it's a job. And, I was grateful for it, right? Because I need the money. I got to pay bills, right? So one night, and it was one of the managers. And I don't remember what the whole situation was as far as, maybe something wasn't done to his liking or something to the effect. But what I do remember is the manager came to me, the manager on duty, because they have different managers, right? The manager on duty came to me and he was saying something, right? Now, I don't remember what he said. I remember how he said it. And the way he was saying it was he was raising his voice when he said it, right? You know how sometimes those managers get beside themselves? Y'all probably done did that too. Y'all need to pay attention so y'all know to stop that, right? So, he raised his voice when he said it, right? As like he was telling me to do something, right? And he was raising his voice, right? So at that moment that he's raising his voice, all I'm hearing is, dude, do you not realize that I'm an adult as well? This is what I'm thinking, like, is this dude yelling at me? Like, what this bumped his mother, So what I say to him, I'm like, well, first of all, and like, if y'all never met me in person, well, some of you guys have, then you'll know that I'm not a hot-headed person at all, right? But when I'm about to get upset, I get real low key. Like my volume actually lowers first, right? So I'm like, first off, what you're not going to do is yell at me, okay? Because I'm not yelling at you. And I talk this way. When I'm upset, I talk like this, right? I'm like, you're not going to yell at me because I'm not yelling at you. That's not what you're going to do, okay? And I look you right in the eye when I, like, for real, like, if y'all ever get me upset, like, I'm looking you right in the eye because I never want it to be like, you don't understand what I'm saying, that I'm talking to you, and I don't want you to think that I'm playing around when I'm not, like I'm not laughing type situation. So this is what I said to him, like, what you're not going to do is you're not going to yell at me. That's not what you're going to do. You're going to talk to me like I'm a human being because I'm talking to you like you're a human being. I'm not cursing or anything like that, and that's how we're going to do this, right? So typically, at least in the type of jobs I've had, which are just regular jobs, nothing corporate, right? Typically those type of jobs, right? The people are not really good managers. They just happen to be in a position, so they don't really know how to manage people, right? So they don't know how to talk to people. So he got a little, red on the collar about the situation. He couldn't fire me because, like, I didn't do what a lot of people who would do if they're hot-headed. Y'all start cursing and all that stuff. You know what I mean? I know better than that. I'm smarter than that. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna get to fire me because I'm cursing at you. I ain't crazy. You know what I mean? So he got a little hot-headed or whatever. I mean, he got a little bothered, neck turning red and stuff, right? So anyway, what wound up happening was, because he made his threat about the hours, right? He made his threat. And this is what jobs will do. They will threaten, right? And this is what happens, right? So at that point he did that, what happened next week, right? What happened next week is he cut my hours, right? Now, obviously it was him and whoever made the schedule. I'm sure they talked about it. So I went from like 5 days on the schedule to 1, right? Now, what that does to most people and what it used to do to me, let me explain this to you, okay? Usually what happens is when someone threatens to cut your hours because you're not doing what they want you to do or doing it the way you want them to do, way they want you to do it, or whatever it is, right? If they don't like something, the first thing they try and do, especially in jobs, they try and cut your hours, right? Because that's really all they got to hold over your head, right? Now, typically what happens is you get real frustrated about that. You might go home and be about to cry to your husband or to your wife or to yourself in the mirror, right? Because all you're thinking about is, man, how am I gonna pay these bills? You know what I'm saying? If they cut my hours, right? And so you might have been in a good mood, right? Because I was in a good mood before, right? And then this happens, and now you're in a bad mood because all you could think about is that you still got bills to pay and somebody's up there threatening your livelihood, right? Now, this is how I was able to combat that. And it wasn't all my life that I was able to combat that. It actually didn't happen until that moment that I was able to actually combat. And I'm going to tell you what I did because I promise you guys it works. I promise you. Okay. This is what I did. I had to start realizing something. I had to start realizing that a job was just what it is. It is a means to an end. It's a thing. It's a vessel, right? So when I realized that and I said, okay, well, D, is this the only way that you know how to make money? Is working at AutoZone the only way you know how to make money? I mean, these are the conversations I had to have with myself real quick, right? So that you don't have an anxiety attack about somebody talking about they're going to cut your hours, right? I said, no, it's not the only way I know how to make money. Like I said, I was working on cars before. I just didn't have any customers, right? So it's like, okay, well, D, you do know how to do something, right? Absolutely. So then in the event that the fella cuts your hours, right, then you go for what you know, shorty. Like, this is what I had to say to myself. You go for what you know, shorty. You know how to make money, right? And so this is a quick conversation I had to have all at once, right? And I said, this is very true. I was already, trying to get customers for my business. I just didn't have as many as I used to have in Durham, right? But I had been at AutoZone at that time. I had been at AutoZone maybe about 7 months at that point, right? You know what I mean? So I had picked up some customers, but not enough to where I was at the point I wasn't ready to quit the job, right? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's an automotive field. I was picking up customers from up there too, So when that happened, and the fella cut my hours, so the next week they only start putting me on the schedule on Fridays, right? I had already mentally prepared myself for my exit, for my escape, meaning for what are you going to do, right? You know what we would call a backup plan, right? But what is your backup plan? Well, my backup plan was me, right? So my backup plan was you go out there, okay, they didn't put you on the schedule Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So what you're going to do, you're going to stay at home and you're going to pout about that thing. You're going to curse under your breath at the boss or whatever. What are you going to do? Right? So I got out and I started putting out even more flyers than I have been putting out, putting out even more business cards than I have been putting out, you know what I mean? And going and rounding up some customers, to fix their cars, right? But the point is, I want y'all to take this, right? The point is, right, that the reason why that he was not able to steal my joy at that moment is because I understood that I had options. So when you're in a situation, like, for example, in a job and they're threatening to cut your hours if you don't do this and that and the third or whatever, or you don't talk right, or you don't walk right, or you don't kiss up to them, you know how that be, then the reason that you're upset or frustrated is because you have not yet realized, right, that you do have alternatives. You haven't realized that. You haven't realized that yet. People get upset and frustrated at things that happen at their job like that make them feel like they want to say something, but then they feel like they can't say nothing because people actually say that out of their mouth. Man, I ain't like the way he talked to me, but I can't say nothing because because I get fired or because they'll cut my hour. What you mean you can't? That means you chose not to. If I'm not going to get locked up for saying something, mean they take my freedom away, right? If ain't nobody going to die, right, for me saying something, then I can say something. But when you choose to give someone else your power, you choose to allow them to steal your joy, right? Where you would have otherwise been pretty happy. You choose to allow that when you don't realize that you do have options. You do have options, right? And I'm not just talking about just the online, marketing options, right? You have options, period, in life, because until we start understanding that we are the highest form of creation, meaning human beings, right? We have so much potential. We have so much energy. We have so much ability, right? Of things that we can do. We have so much creativity. Until you start realizing your true value, there's always going to be someone who can steal your joy. So at that moment, I had to have a quick conversation with myself, right? And that's how I did not need to get all belligerent with this dude, right? Even though he was in the wrong for yelling, right? I didn't have to get belligerent with the dude. I didn't have to go back and forth with the dude past what I said because he pretty much was shocked because most people don't say nothing back. Most people just take it when a manager says something, they get all upset. Then they go home and they beat up on their kids because they mad at what happened at work, or they beat up on their wife, or they beat up on their husband because they all mad. They want to take up all their stress, right? Because they let it build up, right? Because of that job, right? Or whatever, somebody try to steal your joy. But when you start understanding, right, that you have options, right? And before you say, well, yes, options, but man, that's going to be so much harder. Well, the way I look at it is I don't look at, well, which one's going to be harder. I look at which one is going to allow me to not have this type of stress that I don't want. You know what's harder for me? Harder for me is having the stress of me having to keep my mouth closed when you done did me dirty, right? When you done treated me like that I'm less than. That's harder for me, right? I would much rather go out there and have to pick up some customers, right, of, fixing their cars, even at cheaper prices, because I didn't have no customers. I needed some money, right? You know what I'm saying? I would much rather do that. That was less stressful for me than for me to have to humble myself or belittle myself. Really, that's less than humble, right? When I know that you should not be treating me this way, right? When you should not be stealing my joy when I didn't steal your joy, when I'm not even trying to steal your joy, when I know that I'm a human being, you're a human being, so we should treat each other as human beings. Right? So my point is that if you start understanding your true power, right, your true potential, and when you start relying more on what you can do, feel me, I'm going somewhere with this, feel me. When you start relying more on what you can do within yourself, you will be less stressed. When people do try and steal your joy, it won't be able to work. They won't be able to do it, right? Because you will know that you control this thing. You in control of that, right? That you can make moves, that you can create options, right? And this is why I'm so passionate, guys, about, what we do online, I'm saying, like all of you guys, right? This is why I'm so passionate about what we do online in entrepreneurship, period, whether you're on or offline, right? This is why I'm so passionate, because it literally allows us to become free. There are so many things in our lives, right, that will steal our joy and will keep us in chains and bondage, right? There's so many things that will do that. There's a programming that we have from children that told us that, oh, well, because you're a certain race, you can never be president, for example. Yeah, I don't know about y'all, but when we grew up, we wouldn't have thought it would have been no president other than one race. You know what I mean? But because these are things that was put in our head, right, in our subconscious. So a lot of people, they still hold on to those chains, those bondages, and they think they can only go so far. They think they can only do so much. So they allow people to steal their joy because they don't realize they can do way more, right, if they want to. You can do it if you want to, right? So when you understand that, then it's going to be way less times that a person could come and step on you, right? And make you feel less than, and make you go from you having a great day to now you having a terrible day because that person tried to put you in some constraints, tried to put the handcuffs on you and keep the shackles on you and keep the noose around your neck, right? It is about freeing yourself, right? Not waiting for other people to allow you to be free. I'm going to need y'all to think about that for a minute, right? Because when we're out here and we're living, right? Because typically, at least the people I've met, typically we want other people to live too, right? That we, at least the people I've met, I haven't met any really raggedy people, right? The people I've met, they typically want other people to live too. They want to live, they want other people to live too, right? They ain't just up there trying to kill people, right? So as we're out here and we're trying to live, we want to be happy, right? Start looking for what you can do to empower yourself, whatever it is. I don't care what skill set it is, whatever you like doing, right? I don't care if you like reading books. See how you can turn that into something that you can, be able to monetize if you love it, be able to also monetize it, right? So that is what is going to free you from these chains that you feel that you have. When people are trying to steal your joy, you can start breaking loose. So when people put these demands on you that you don't feel right about, you know what I mean? Like there's situations where people will be, this has never happened to me, but it happens to people where you'll be in a situation, like it usually happens to women, at least that's what's reported. Like let's say you're in a situation and you are in a corporate job, right? Let's say you're a lady in a corporate job and your boss is a guy, right? And maybe he makes advances or something like that, you know what I mean? And you don't like those advances, but you might feel that you might not get a promotion if you don't, go through with the advances or something like that, right? Then the ladies be feeling all stressed out, right? They be feeling real bad. They go home and they all sad, and then they're not being as loving to their kids because they're preoccupied by this negativity that someone has stolen their joy, right? But you know why that is? Well, for one, obviously the person doing it is a negative person. They shouldn't do those things. But on the flip side, it's because they think that job is the end all be all. They don't realize that they have the potential, right, to support themselves away from that one thing, away from that one job. They think that's the only way. So when you think something is the only way, you done gave away your power to that thing instead of you relinquishing your power, understanding that you control, whether or not somebody can steal your joy or not, right? And then it'll happen less times that they steal your joy. Like seriously, y'all, I literally did not realize that until that moment. All before that, I would be that one getting frustrated. Like people would come to that job at AutoZone. Some of the people who worked there, I mean, they would be really like, they would really feel some way when we would have customers that come up there. You know how sometimes y'all customers come up there and y'all be tripping out. You know what I mean? I brought these brake pads and they didn't work. And then some of the employees would take it personal, because I was a cashier, I wasn't a manager, I was a regular, front kind of person or whatever, right? So some people take it personal, like, man, these customers get on my nerve. Yo, they never got on my nerves at that job because I had realized what I just taught you guys, right? That people can't steal your joy unless you allow it. So they never got on my nerves, right? And this is how it's been ever since then. Once I learned that, and I mean, I don't know how old I was. I was in my 30s. Yeah, I was like 31. I think I was like 31. I think it was, right? Something like that, but if you guys start realizing that and start putting things into place, now maybe you don't have those things into place yet, right? I didn't have them into place till I had them into place. You feel me? Right? But maybe you don't have them things into place yet, but start putting those things into place now. Okay, whether it's online, offline, doesn't matter, right? But when you start putting those things into place, right, to make sure that you have avenues, right, that you have avenues that you can pull from, right, as far as like that you can, oh, I can make my money doing this. I don't have to have that particular job to be able to earn an income. Then you will be less stressed when them people start telling you, well, we want everybody, let's say you got hired to work Monday through Friday, and then the job tell you, well, you got to start working on Sunday. Everybody got to start working on Sunday. And you like, well, I don't work on Sundays. Sunday is the only day I get to rest. You know what I mean? And they're like, well, look, if y'all can't come in on Sundays, then y'all pretty much, that's it for you. You know what I mean? Like, it's over for you, right? And like literally people will cry because they're afraid that they're about to lose their job. They will cry, right? And I get it, but at the same time, it's like, I get it, but now what? I get it, but now are you going to understand that if you continue to give your power to someone else, that you are always going to be a slave to someone else when it comes to who is controlling your joy, right? Because there's different things that make us happy. And for most of us, let's just be real, part of what makes us happy is being able to pay our dang on bills. Okay? That's part of what makes us happy, right? Not being out in the streets or something, you know what I'm saying? So when you relinquish that to someone else, you give all your power away, right? And it's going to be a lot more days that, you know, people steal your joy, things happen, and you just don't know how to turn it around. And then it just spirals, and you start being mean to your family. You start being mean to your friends because you're having a bad day because of what happened elsewhere, because someone else is trying to steal your joy, and you're allowing them to because you're not willing to do what it takes to put yourself in a different position. That means you're up here telling yourself at the beginning of each year, oh, 2021 is going to be different. 2021 is going to be different, y'all. I'm going to win in 2021. Knowing, and you said the same thing in 2020. 2020 is going to be different. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to, you know, start me a business. I'm going to do this. And then 2019 was the same. 2019 is going to be different, right? And we keep saying the same thing. And then come around 2021, come March, you're still in the same position, and you haven't even started to put yourself in a position to where other people can't so easily steal your joy. Because think about, how do people steal your joy? A lot of times it has to do with them putting your finances at risk, or, you know, something that you really care about, your finances or your family, right? Does that make sense, guys? Put out a comment down with you, D. Absolutely. Nice you said, girl, yes, I've been there. Exactly. Ray J said that's a hood trait. You stupid said what's a hood trait? You crazy girl. Exactly. This is the truth, man. Like, people need to hear this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And you guys know, when I jump on here, I got something to say. When I jump on here, I'm going to say something. You feel me? I got something to say. And it's all about empowering, showing people how, you know, you can be empowered, right? So that's why I focus on mindset, marketing, and multiple streams of income. Why mindset? Because if we don't have the proper mindset, right, to understand that we are the highest form of creation, right? If we don't have the mindset to understand that first, then we're going to always be the lesser. We're going to always fall for the lesser, right? We're going to always be enslaved to someone else or to some other thing. Always, if we don't have the mindset to understand that we're the highest form of creation, right? Why marketing? Because most of the people, you know, that follow me are in business, and marketing is how to get their name out there, right? Why multiple streams of income? So that you don't have them bondages, period. So that you don't have those bondages, right? And I'm talking about, and I'm not just talking about job bondages. I don't want y'all to think that, right? Because I used to have 2 jobs. I'm talking about also network marketing company bondages. I'm talking about MLM bondages. I'm talking about all of these bondages, right? Where if somebody don't like something you said or whatever, you know what I mean, then they telling you, oh, well, now we're changing the rules, so you can't promote this MLM company if you also promote this, our MLM companies. You got to get out. Okay. Peel, baby. Don't get upset. Peel. Because when you understand, once again, right, when you understand that you need to always be putting yourself in position to make sure you and yours is good, make sure you and your kids is good, you and your family is good, right? Making sure that you have your hands in something, right, that you can shift to, then the conversation goes from, well, you no longer can promote my product you know, and you being all sad, ooh, I built the downline, ooh, right? Going from that to, okay, I totally understand. Thank you for letting me know. Peel on to the next, baby. On to the next, right? Because you will have less stress when you set yourself up to control, right? To have more control of the outcome, right? More control of your life. You see what I'm saying? So this goes way beyond just business, and it goes into life. This is just how this is, right? And this is what I've learned, and this is why I wanted to share it with you guys. What you say? Says yes, can be different with the plan. Absolutely. He said, I meant with the plan. I meant without a plan. Right. Definitely, absolutely. Have a plan in action. Now, and I'll tell you this right here, guys, straight up. If you have not yet put a plan in action, or maybe you're thinking of a plan, right? And maybe the plan that you're on right now, you're like, man, I know there's a part missing, right? One of the plans that, you know, part of my bigger plan, one of the things I've added to part of my bigger plan is setting myself up for long-term financial success, right? Long-term financial success. When I say long-term, I'm talking about something that I will be okay doing, right? That I will be okay doing in the next 2 to 5 to 7 to 10 to 20 years type situation. Something that is recession proof, right? Yeah, I said it. Something that's recession proof. And notice I said how many years I would be okay doing it, right? That is the type of plan that I'm setting myself up for, right? Something that when I transition from, and we're all going to transition, when we transition from whatever network marketing company we're doing, then what are you going to do? Right? What skill set do you have that you can continue to create the income that you want, that is not dependent upon the economy, right? That is not dependent on someone else giving you a job either, right? What are you going to do? So if you have not yet, you know, discovered that plan, you know, you're like, yo, man, you know, I need something like that, then y'all need to go ahead and holler at me on this webinar at firetheboss.com. I mean, Fire the Banks. I always say it wrong. I don't go to Fire the Boss because I totally didn't buy that domain. It was like $3,000. But firethebanks.com. All right, y'all need to check out this webinar at 9 p.m. Eastern because this is what I'm doing. All right, at 9 p.m. Eastern, you're going to find out at firethebanks.com. All right, what I'm doing to set myself up for my long-term financial success. Okay, that no, it does not have anything to do with whether or not someone joins me or not. Okay, anything. It doesn't have anything to do with me having to even be on Facebook to do the thing, right? I don't need to be on Facebook. I don't need to have Facebook following to do the thing. I literally be on Facebook because I literally want to educate. Like I promise y'all, that has been my whole thing from the day one, right? This is what I want to do. So for me, setting myself up for my financial success, you know, for my future is me being able to create the income, right? To whereas I don't have to depend on whether a person joins me in something. So what does that do for me then, guys? I want you to understand what that does for me. What does that do for me then? Then I can get back to what I want to do. This is why y'all see me on YouTube. This is why y'all see me on Facebook. And when I'm up here talking, I'm talking about the same stuff because I'm passionate about it. So I can get back to being passionate about, like some people are passionate about helping people with their credit, right? But you're like, man, I would love to help people with their credit, but I need to make money. So now I got to go promote this other thing so I can make money, right? I get it. We got to do what we got to do, right? But when you find something that can set you up with your financial future, and that doesn't rely on people joining you or anything, then guess what you can do with your credit repair? You can do a whole bunch more talking about it. And it's not going to be in desperate mode. It's not going to be a sense of, you know, oh, I'll tell y'all how to fix y'all credit if y'all join me in this credit biz. It'll be you sharing it because that's what you want to do, whatever your passion is. If you want to share how to help people be healthier, like live a vegan lifestyle or a clean living type of lifestyle, right? A lot of you guys are passionate about that, right? But the reason why you don't talk about it as much because maybe you're promoting other things because you need the money and maybe the money's not coming through so fast with your health and wellness thing, right? You create that financial income that don't have nothing to do with whether or not somebody join you in anything, right? And then you're going to have so much more time, right, to be able to share the gift that you already were giving yourself that you want to share with other people. Then you really live in your purpose and in your passion, and you will be able to come with the authentic nature every single time, you know, versus just once out of the month. You be authentic once out of the month, like when you just made some money, you know what I mean? But then when you didn't make no money, now you want to be, you know, you don't really want to be authentic. You like, man, don't talk to me unless you join in something type deal. You don't say that, but that's probably how you feel it, right? You know what I mean? I get it. It happens, right? So what I'm expressing to you guys, put yourself in that position, right? That somebody can't tell you that, oh, they don't want you to promote their network marketing company anymore. It's out of there, right? Put yourself in a position where you have a skill set that you know how to do something that can create you an income, whether somebody joins you in anything, whether you have a Facebook following or at all, right? Whether you ever step a foot on Facebook, whether Mark Zuckerberg tell you that you bet not come on his platform or else he gonna pop you upside the head, right? It don't even matter, right? It doesn't matter what the economy is doing or not. Head on over, right, at 9 p.m. Eastern, that's Eastern time, all right, to firethebanks.com and see what we have going on, guys. That's definitely what you want to do, all right? So look, guys, I thank you for tuning in. If you happen to be watching this on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. If you're watching this on Facebook, all right? Go ahead, throw me some love, guys. Show me some hearts, all right? And I'll make sure I come through and respond to all the comments that I didn't get to. Other than that, y'all already know. This is Coach D, baby. What we going to do? We're going to take the right to the top. And we already at the top, baby. Let's go. And we up.